Hi friends, before we get to today's episode, we have a couple announcements for you. First of all, due to current situation with the pandemic and having to isolate, we are unfortunately not able to meet and record video episodes. We still wanted to put out the second season of the podcast for you friends, so for the time being, we will do it in audio-only format. We're recording in our own homes with separate setups, so the sound quality is going to be a little different for the two of us, and the flow of the conversation might seem a bit different from what you're used to, since we're talking to each other on video calls. So please bear with us as we make it work given the current situation. The podcast is still available on all the same platforms, including YouTube. And we will return to filming video episodes as soon as we can meet in person again.
We have another exciting announcement. We are now on Patreon. If you don't know what Patreon is, it is a platform where you can support your favorite creatives with a monthly pledge that you can change or delete anytime. Our Patreon page will work as a tip jar with one tier that is €2 a month or more if you wish. The money will go towards paying for our podcast hosting fees. In the future, we hope to also create exclusive content for you on Patreon. So, if you enjoy listening to our podcast, consider supporting us on Patreon. And now to today's episode. Hello friends, I'm Mia.
And I'm Sasha.
And I'm Apila.
And this is the Drawing Club podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Drawing Club podcast.
Yes, welcome. And this is another special episode because today we have a guest, Apila. Apila, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me on the podcast today. It's the first time I've been in a podcast talking, so it's very exciting for me, a new experience. So for myself, I'm like a very wide-areaed artist. So I'm an illustrator and comic artist. Foremost, I like to call myself an illustrator and comic artist first, and then I have like secondary things that I do, which are like I'm a graphic designer by education, and I'm also like a teacher. I teach art, comics and illustration, digital art, and also recently I've been learning tattooing. So I'm doing like a very wide variety of things in the art field, I would say.
Wow, it sounds like you have a lot of experience in like a lot of different creative things.
Yes, definitely. Like I have so many like different kinds of work I've been doing, and I'm always excited to try new things and improve my like capabilities. Like I don't want to be like stuck in just one field and expand.
Nice. So, yes, but before we learn everything we can today about Apila, just wanted to remind all of you listeners that we are a drawing podcast. So all of us are drawing here while talking, and you're welcome to draw with us too. And please show us your drawings on your social media. But Mia and Apila, do you want to say what you're drawing today?
Sure, I can start. I got really excited because a couple episodes ago, I drew some Harry Potter fan art, which you wouldn't know about, Apila, but it's coming out tomorrow. So
okay, so I didn't see that.
By the time this comes out, but that was like so much fun that when I was thinking of what I want to draw today, I wanted to draw more Harry Potter fan art. So I'm drawing a portrait of Hermione with Crookshanks, her cat. Yeah. What about you, Apila? What are you drawing today?
Well, I was like wondering very long time, like what do I want to draw? But then I thought I would draw my like kind of this like persona character I have for myself. It's this like bat person. It's like this punk rock bat that I've been drawing sometimes, and I think I'm gonna draw this character. And also it's been like I love drawing bats. I think they're like so fun. So this can be interesting.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah, like combining like the bat characteristics and making somehow a little bit human, and like also I did this like kind of like children's illustration job where I draw a bat character, and so maybe I'll like include some of the qualities of that bat character in this bat persona that I'm creating today.
Yeah. And what are you using?
I'm drawing digitally. I'm using like Procreate, and I was like, because I've been looking at your like the other podcast, and you're like drawing like like painting and stuff, and I was like, oh, it looks fun, but I'm always like drawing digitally these days, and I don't think I can draw like on the paper so well anymore. So I'm just like, it's gonna be easiest for me to just draw digitally because that's what I do all the time. So I'm gonna stick to what I know best. So I'm gonna keep drawing digitally for this one as well on the iPad.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
And I'm using my watercolors. Yes. What about you, Sasha? What are you drawing today?
Well, I actually started, like, I sat here with a blank piece of paper. I had no idea what to draw. So I'm drawing, like, a couple episodes ago, we were also talking about, like, when you have a blank page, you just draw something you're comfortable with. So I just have this pattern of leaves, and I'm gonna, like, I just started sketching it while you were saying what you're drawing. So I'm just gonna color this with watercolors, and then let's see where this goes.
Wow, nice. Improvising.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I feel like every time we start an episode, it's like, Sasha, what are you drawing? Well, I'm drawing plants. I'm drawing leaves.
Yeah, that's kind of your thing.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here drawing.
But if you're like
leaves.
also like talking at the same time, you might need to like draw something that you're comfortable with, because it like, for me, it also like takes some of my brain power to think of something new, so it's like easy to draw something you're comfortable with if you're talking at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. Whenever I try to make something new and interesting while recording a podcast, I always get disappointed with my final piece. Yeah, because also like within 1 hour you have to finish something. I mean, we almost never do, but we try to. So yeah. All right. But yeah, should we do our little segment with one thing you want to share with the club today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Apila, do you want to go first? What do you want to share with the club today?
Yeah, I was like thinking of this for a while, like what has been like helping me most in this physical distancing time, and for me it's like I want some like distraction from the horrible things in the world, and I've been watching this web series, maybe you know of it, but it's with the two drag queens, Trixie Mattel and Katya. It's this web series on Wow Presents, and they talk about like everything, but yeah, it's like it's just like so stupid, and like really like it makes me laugh so hard. I'm always like, my boyfriend is looking at me like watching this series, and I laugh so hard, and it's like I haven't laughed so much in a while, so it's really like nice to have something that makes me feel this happy and just forget about the worries in the world. So if you want to throw your brain in the gutter, then look at on YouTube.
So that's the name?
Yeah, it's the name is
Oh, that's really cute. I love it.
Yeah, and if it has like, yeah, it has like a lot of like profanity and maybe some like sexual and kind of like maybe not so kid-friendly topics. So, and you know, if that's just like a warning, and they trigger warning all around. It might badly, but if you're like prepared for it, go watch it, because it's like really like it just makes me laugh so much.
Yeah, I have to check that out. That sounds super fun. I think I actually just yesterday saw another YouTuber mention this, and that's when I heard of it for the first time. So it's so funny that now suddenly I'm hearing about it again. So I should definitely.
Yeah, it's like the best thing to watch now. I think more people are finding it now in like the quarantine times.
Yeah. What about you, Sasha? What's your thing you want to share with the club?
Well, I want to tell the club that today I am sitting and recording this in my kitchen, at my dining table where I never actually work, but my apartment is such a huge mess right now because in the end of this month we are moving apartments. So, and it has already, even though like, I mean, you're gonna hear this episode already on the same week when we are moving, but this is now like still mid-month, and I wasn't expecting at this time already for the apartment to become a chaos, but it already is because we sold our bed and we had this loft bed with like a whole music studio underneath, so we had to pack all of that, and like already like half of our apartment is just like things on top of things, and I'm already starting to stress out, even though like I know that in the end everything's gonna be fine, and also we're gonna be in a nice much nicer place, and I'm like really excited about this, so I'm trying to like really chill myself out and tell like, okay, this is temporary, this is okay, we're like moving is like this, like it's chaos but it's gonna end. Like, but I really have to like keep telling myself that because I'm like really I like when things are really tidy. I'm like on practice maybe I'm not a very tidy, like I mess things up, but I'm a really tidy person in a way that I feel my best when everything is in its own place. So when things are chaos, I'm like really stressed out. So yeah. And I had to find this alternative place even to work today because my workspace is not usable at the moment.
But I've been looking at your like place in the background of the podcasts, the videos when you had, and I've been like, oh, it looks like so nice. But I don't know if I only see the one place with your like cabinets in there. I don't know how the rest of the place is, but it looked so lovely. But yeah, I imagine you must be looking forward to moving also when you get to it.
Yeah.
But it might be like difficult to move now, like with the whole whole situation.
I mean, yes, we are like, we even started looking for an apartment when it was already it was already isolation time, and actually we didn't really have to move, so it was this thing that we started just like as a fun project. We just started looking at apartments. But I already like told that in a couple podcasts ago. But we of course I also, because last time I mentioned that we are moving, and I also felt like maybe I should make this disclaimer that like we are still like not taking this lightly, and we're not like moving just for fun. We actually only like we're gonna move if we found the apartment that is like the ideal apartment for us, not just to like you know, we're so bored we're gonna move. But yeah, so and yeah, we are like thinking of how do we make this safely. Like we're not getting any people to like carry our stuff, and we're renting a van from a place where you don't have to contact with anyone. You just do it online, and then you go and you pick a car and things like that. Like we are really thinking about how to make it safely, of course. But yeah, it's an interesting time to schedule a move. But also I'm excited to have a project.
Yeah, it's good to have like change in your life. I think moving is always like really exciting to get a new scenery in your life.
Yeah. What about you, Mia? What do you want to share with the club today?
Well, I want to share that I planted my first seeds of the spring this week, which I don't. I've only done, I think, once before. I've like grown a plant from seeds, and this is only my second time. But my mom gave me some seeds for basil and parsley and some kind of a salad. And they came with their own like little, they're kind of these weird bags where you put the soil and then you just poured water in and then you sprinkled the seeds on top. And I've been like, I've only had them there for a couple of days, so nothing has actually happened yet, but I'm like, I'm checking them every morning. I'm like, oh, is there something? Is there something? There's not yet anything, but I'm really looking forward to something starting to grow soon. I'm really
Maybe
excited.
you'll get babies.
Yes, tiny little sprouts.
Oh, that's so fun.
Because I just planted like these seeds. Like I had like zucchini and some lettuce, and they started to sprout like a few days ago. So that was like one thing I was like, maybe I should tell about this, but I was like, I don't know, like Mia's probably gonna talk about plants, so maybe
Wow, you knew it.
yes, I was like, probably gonna be some plant talks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's then get to all our questions we have to you, Apila, because we have so many.
Ooh,
Yes.
exciting.
Okay, so I want to start with the books, because I'm sure that's like a dream of a lot of illustrators to publish their own books. And you have had several books published already. So could you tell us how do you, well, just in general, like your experience with publishing books, and how did you even start with that?
Yeah, so for me, I've been like, ever since I was little, I've been making my like own books. Like when I was a kid, I made them like just like one copy and showed it to my friends and everything. And so I think I had this like passion growing up a lot. And when I was like going to like high school, I was in this visual arts high school, and then I got like to publish my first comics in like in a magazine, and then it's like sparked this like joy in me, like to maybe have more of my comics published. And then I did like a few self-published comic zines when I was like 18 or something. And I think for me, like also the form of the book is very important. Like I wanted to have like this like nice looking books and have it like a physical object, so it has like some purpose in being in a physical form. And then when I had like made a few zines by myself, I started to like wanted to collaborate with other artists, and we created some like anthologies with a few of my like school friends. We made like this uni anthology. It was about like dreams and it was like comics. And then I was the editor for the book, so I was like editing the comics for that book. And then I like learned that I had to like, but I heard that I had this like passion about like editing also. And when I was editing this anthology, I started to like wonder about like making like some also like a bigger thing, like a series or something. So we made like a few books of this uni anthology, and then I started this Rikki project, which is like a Rikki, it means like broken in Finnish, and we have made some. It was like the first we made this like comic magazine, and then we made this, and then because it was like really popular and we got some grants for it, and then I started to feel like, hey, maybe this is like an actual thing like I could do like and be like serious, so it's not just a hobby anymore. And then we got a new grant for a second Rikki book. It was like Rikkinäisen mielen kuvat, this comic anthology, and I was the editor for that also. And then it was we got an actual like publishing house like to publish it for us. So that was like my first like step into the real like book publishing world. So yeah, because we had like the first anthology was really popular, so we had like that in our pocket. So we were like this book sold this many and this many, so we could say to the publisher like it's probably gonna be successful because the first issue was so successful. So it was like kind of like this proof of like success for them. And then it was like actually like I just sent an email to like many publishing houses and like asked like, we have this project and we did like the first issue and it was like this successful and stuff, so I could tell them about the project. And many said no, and I was like maybe like expecting that, because it is pretty like common that they don't like maybe, and they had like some, like they could like give some reasons to it, but yeah, because usually the publishing world works so that they want to like, they like make a schedule of the books they're gonna publish like many years in advance. So maybe they even, especially for like small publishing houses, they have to like plan what they're gonna publish for many years in advance. And then they usually stick to the artists that they have like on board already. So the same artist can like say that, like, oh, I'm working on this book and it's gonna be like published in 2 years. So they're like, okay, we have the budget ready for that book then. And because I approached them with this project and I was like, oh, we have to get this published by this and this date because we had the grant for it. So we had to like fulfill the grant requirements. So that was like made it maybe a little bit like a tight schedule for many publishers because they want to like be able to know like in advance for many years and start to like plan for the marketing and everything. But this one house that was Suuri Kurpitsa, which is like a very small publisher based in Tampere in Finland, and I had like, because it was an anthology and we had like many artists that also worked for Suuri Kurpitsa before. So also the publisher was like, okay, we have had like Tiiu Takala before, we had Viivi Rintanen before and Wolf Kankare before, and their books were successful. So they knew like these artists that were involved in the anthology before. So we also had like kind of like this backup, like they knew it's probably gonna be successful. So it helped with the process that we had like these contacts there also. And then they said like, yeah, we can publish this book with them. And yeah, that's how it started. And then I think it's like getting your like name in with the publishers is really like important. And I think for me that really helped me like elevate my career and like make people know who I am like in the publishing world. And when I got like my first book published, it was like easier to get the others published then. And actually like after that, it's been that I've usually been like working in collaboration with the publisher like beforehand. And I've already like, when I even started the book concept, I've already had like a publisher in mind for it. And I've been like working with the publisher like from the beginning. So it's like the publisher, I think it's like best if you can work from the beginning with the publisher, so they can like help with the concept, help like edit the book along the way. But I know if you're starting out, it's hard to like get any contact there and get a editor from the publisher if they don't even know if they want to publish your book. So if you're starting out, I would suggest maybe like, making your book like finishing it as much as you can and then sending it to the publisher, because they're not gonna want to like publish something they're not gonna be sure what it's gonna be like. So they're gonna be really reprehensive to like say yes if they have no idea how it's gonna look. But for me, because with the first book I had like the proof of concept and like I had this like backup from the other artists who had already worked for the publisher. So that was how I got my foot in the door with them. And then because I had some books to show, like I did this in this, so it was like easier to get these publishers to like to reassure them that I'm gonna make a good book for them. But yeah, now that I'm working on books, I always know like a publisher beforehand that I'm gonna use for the book. And I've been like working with Into-kustannus in Finland and Voima-kustannus and Schildset Söderström and also Suuri Kurpitsa now. So, and now I'm making illustrating a book for Karisto, and which is part of Ottawa, and also I'm illustrating a book now for Suomalaisen kirjallisuuden seura, which is like this Finnish literally thingy. I don't know how to translate it, but yeah. So I have been lucky that I can work like with many publishers, because sometimes some publishing houses can be like kind of like you only work for me, and then you have to like stick to that one house. But I've been lucky that I've been able to like spread out my wings and not just stick to one house.
Yeah, I'm curious.
But yeah, that's how I got started. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was a long
No, but that's
explanation.
really interesting, like to know how it actually like gradually kind of evolves. That like you first self-publish something, and then you have something to actually show, and then like then you can. But you still have to write. Like you need to do some work before they start trusting you. That's like very nice to know that like you don't just right away get an amazing book deal because you're lucky. It's like a combination of small steps.
Yeah, and I don't know, like my way might not be the way that many others have worked, but like I think like it is one way to get into the field, but I think some people can. It is possible to like just like not have published anything before and then get like a really good publishing deal with some big house. But I think it's maybe quite rare, and I think like self-publishing first and like getting some of like getting a portfolio of works is like the best way to do it. And also like, and then you can also like learn from the mistakes beforehand, because making book is not easy. So I think it's good to like experiment when it's with like these smaller books before you go into the big boys.
Yeah. But I'm curious, since you both self-published, like you have experience both with self-publishing and working with a publisher, like would you say what are like the advantages of each? Like have you noticed that some things are easier when self-publish, or like better when self-publishing, and some things are better when you work with a publishing company?
Yeah, I think like, yeah, I really like self-publishing because I like to be in charge of everything, and I want to choose like what I do. And also because I am quite like I like to advertise them myself. So, and I have like my own networks and everything. So it's pretty easy for me to also like get these books around, even if I'm self-publishing them. Well, not easy, but like I know how to do it. But yeah, I think, but also with the publishing house, for me, I haven't had like maybe like so much interference. They might have like, I think the most thing that publishing houses are like, that I had to like edit the works was to make it like cheaper to print. And that's like one thing that pretty often, maybe if you're working with a publishing house, it's like you have to like try to cut costs at every corner. And then it usually is that they cut on the editor's salary, or you might not even have an editor. I think like for many books, we didn't have an editor, or it was just like, they will just do the proofreading and that's it. So you might not be able to get an editor, even if you're with a publishing house, like, especially in Finland. I think it's pretty like, it is a big cost, and the books market is not so big anymore. And in Finland, even if you only publish in Finnish language, the audience is even smaller. So like you're not going to be able to sell so many books. So that it's not like, for them, it's not cost efficient to like hire an editor, unless it's going to be like a really, if they know it's going to sell a lot. But yeah, usually the editing could have been better. I think like many books could have like improved with an editor, or like even an editor could have like more time to like work on the book. It could have been like a lot better. But yeah, it's a lot of like compromises along the way, because everything costs, and especially with the printing cost and like that, you have to make a lot of compromises, because unless, like for us, we had like, I have been able to get some grants for the publishing, like the printing costs sometimes. So we've been able to like compensate on what the publisher can't afford, and maybe like get a nicer looking book if we get the grant for it. But usually anything, like everything's extra, so they usually try to make it like black and white, cheapest possible paper, smallest possible size. Like it's not gonna be maybe if you're like self-publishing, you can of course make like whatever you want, but then you might not have so many costs. Like you won't have to pay for an editor unless you want to have an editor for your self-published book. And also like you get all the money yourself. And for me, maybe the biggest thing for me to like also like not to say like to say like kind of like to say that self-publishing is also good because you get all the money yourself. Like with the publishing house, they're gonna take like the majority of the like the profits from the book, and you're only gonna get like a small royalty. Like that's something like depends of course on the deal, but it might be like 10 to 20%. So it's not a lot. And I think if you're like self-publishing, you get all the money yourself. You can set the price. I think you can make more money on the book if you self-publish it, even if you don't sell as much as a big publisher would sell. But you don't have to sell so much to get like the same amount, if that makes sense. Like it can be like more profitable for you if that's what you're looking for. But for many people, what they're looking for in the big publishing house is the esteem. Like it is like kind of like makes you look legit if you have a publishing house, and that's kind of like it's kind of like a sad thing that you have to have like a publishing house to like be taken seriously. But yeah, it's just the way it is, and it can help you like elevate you in a way to like more people are gonna be just like, oh, it looks more legit, and you can get more like these resellers that way, because some resellers don't take self-published books at all, or they only take self-published books if they have had this review in the Helsingin Sanomat. It's like in Finland, this is like the ticket to get into the bookstores, to get the review in the Helsingin Sanomat. It's so funny because it's like it's just one magazine, and if they publish about your book, then you can get it to all the resellers. But if you don't, then all the doors are closed. It's like a ridiculous thing.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Helsingin Sanomat is like kind of the main newspaper, or like the most popular newspaper in Finland, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like the biggest, and yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it's this like kind of, I think it's really ridiculous to have this kind of standard that you have to be like have a review there, but yeah, to get into some bookstores.
Okay. Well, we are also really curious about your client work, because you also do commercial illustration, right?
Yeah, like I wouldn't say like I'm like super commercial, but but yeah, like I work mostly with like these maybe like non-profits and like organizations. So they're usually not maybe like super commercial, but they need illustration too, and they can be for a variety of things. Like I've been like making illustrations for like campaigns, like or for like posters and some materials they might need for like online and stuff. So they might not be like advertisement campaigns or stuff like this, but it's like for like communication purposes, yeah. But yeah, maybe commercial in a way, but yeah.
Yeah, but I was wondering, like for our listeners who want to get into that kind of illustration, like do you have some wisdom on how one could get started doing this kind of illustration, like finding clients and yeah.
Yeah, I get this like a lot. People ask me how to find clients, and yeah, I'm really like, sorry, I cannot help with that, because for me, I don't have to find my clients because they find me. Because it's for me, it's really like I'm really in a fortunate situation that all the work that I get is usually like they contact me first, so I don't have to go looking for them, and it's kind of yeah, I also have like kind of like this surplus of work. I maybe have like too much work, which is like, yeah, it's good also, but can be hard sometimes to say no to some really fun projects. But I have had to learn to do that. But maybe for me, like I know that all the clients, they find me from my previous works. So what I can say from my experience is like getting your work out there, get your work published. That's gonna be your like ticket to getting people to know who you are, and having a good portfolio is really like important. Like like a nice online portfolio, because all of my clients, they usually tell like, oh, we looked at your portfolio and looked really nice, so they must have saw something they like there, and they must have like the layout of the website or something to make it like make it so they choose me as the illustrator. So I think that's like really important to have like good portfolio.
How did you get started then? Because you say that now you get your work like mostly through, you know, the people have already seen your previous work and that's why they want to hire you. But how did you get that first job, for example, or, you know, how did you get started in it?
Yeah, like I think like the first like proper jobs I had were through like the first like book illustration work I got was that the person had seen my comic in a comic anthology, and they liked my comic and they asked like, can you illustrate the cover for this book? And I was like, yes, of course. But yeah, it was like just because they saw my work in some other publication, they thought like, yeah, I could be fit for the job. And I think also a lot was through like relationships. I had many times gotten like these jobs from people like recommending me. So some of my friends or somebody who knows me have recommended me. So that's how I got into these clients' ears. And also like, maybe some of my first jobs were also like through these like job listings, like because I studied in Aalto University, and so sometimes we get like on the school email we get these like job listings, because they want somebody who studies at Aalto, because it has like this kind of reputation, so they want somebody who's maybe skilled but maybe cheaper because there are students still. And that's how I got some of the first works from this, just from my school kind of like that. Yeah.
I actually want to, because I was wondering, because you went to art school, and we actually haven't had a guest who has gone to art school,
really?
we have at least haven't like talked to them about it. So I'm very interested to hear like, how do you think you going to art school has affected your career? Like, has it been a help?
Yes, definitely. I think it has helped a lot. And especially like, I think the school that I went to, like, I still haven't graduated, I'm still studying, but yeah, I'm also like, I'm hopefully soon to be Master of Arts from Aalto University. So Aalto University is it's in Espoo now, but yeah, it's like, I would say like as the best reputation from the art schools in Finland, and especially because I studied like graphic design there. It's like a very well respected program, and people in the industry, like, they will find you if you work there, and they will want to hire you, because it's really hard to get into school. And yeah, I think it also like, it's kind of like just being in the school, it kind of is like this kind of seal of approval that the clients will be like, okay, they got into Aalto, so they must be good, but it might not be accurate all the time, but like, but yeah, I think it helps a lot. And I would say I wouldn't have the career that I have now if I wouldn't study there, like 100%. Like most of my jobs are because they see that I studied in Aalto. But now, like, also now maybe it's because they see my previous works, but like when I was starting, it helped a lot to have that in my resume, to have studied there. I think it was really good for me. But yeah, it's kind of like, stupid in a way, because even sometimes some of the Aalto students, they might not even have like a portfolio, but they just get the work, like internships and stuff, because of this name of the school. It's just kind of like, yeah. But for me it has been good, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, I think there might be some prejudices there, like against some other schools, maybe, like just some like many. I think like if you're especially if you're working like in this graphic design like a studio, like going to advertisement agencies, they really look at the school that you've been to, I think. But after like when you have like made your internships and stuff like this, I think then it's more about the portfolio. But when you're starting out, the school can help a lot in that, like getting your name your foot in the door through the name of the school. But for me, especially because I am not in this like I worked in a advertisement studio before, but for me it's not the. I was like just like I tried it out because I heard it so bad, and I was like, it can't be that bad. But now I'm like, it's bad. Like I don't want to work in an advertisement agency. Like no. So I think, but I'm glad that I tried it out and saw that it was not fit for me. But yeah, I think for me now that I'm working more with like these organizations and like being a freelancer, so I can choose more where I work from. Because for me, it was also like, it was kind of like working in an advertising agency. I was very like, I had to like throw my values in the gutter because I just had to like, I couldn't choose who my client was because I had to just work for whoever the client was for the studio. And sometimes it was not maybe something I would choose myself. And then when they actually like I was in the studio that I was working at, and they got the Valio, which is like this milk producer, as their client, and because I'm a vegan myself, and I was just like, this is the last straw, like I'm not gonna work here anymore because I don't want to make like advertisements for like milk. So that was when I said like bye. But yeah, that was a kind of, it is something. It depends on, of course, on the agency. Like they might not do these kind of clients, but maybe if you are willing to work for all kinds of clients, then it might be fit for you. But if you want to choose more carefully who you work with, then maybe freelancing is better for you. At least for me, that is how it is.
Since you mentioned portfolios, because I think like a lot of, well, at least like neither of us have the art education, and I don't know if we're gonna have any anytime soon. But but like the portfolio is like this thing that everybody can make, whether you have an education or not. And clearly, like you say that like it's useful if people hear about you. It's important that they get to also see what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
So like I want, like, do you have any advice, like any portfolio advice, or like have you noticed that like I don't know, some kind of improvements in your portfolio would help, or just like, or maybe something from your school, since we're not gonna know if they taught you something about the portfolios that is like a secret that we uneducated artists don't know, or something.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like portfolio advice I got from school that I didn't follow, but also like stuff I did follow. I think like at when I actually like in Aalto we had this like illustration minor studies, so I did the illustration minor studies in Aalto, and that was like really good because it really like focused just on illustration work. So it was because I've been studying graphic design, but graphic design is not maybe something I would want to do like so much myself. Like I would say like I'm mostly an illustrator. So yeah, the illustration minor studies was really good, and then there we got like really good like portfolio feedback there. And the feedback that I got was that I have too much and I need to narrow down. Because you listen to all the stuff that I'm doing. Like I do a lot of stuff, and it's like really like varied and very like rich. So what the advice that I got from my teachers there was that to narrow it down and just like focus on one thing that I really want to work on. But for me, it was so hard to like I can't just choose one thing, like because like also illustration has like many different subcategories. You can be like illustration for magazines. You can be a children's book illustrator. You can be a game illustrator. Like there's so many different things you can do in the illustration field. So the advice I got was like to just choose one one like area that I want to focus on and where I want to work, and then morph my portfolio to fit that one area. And I think for me it felt so wrong. Like I was like, I can't choose one thing, and I did narrow a little bit maybe down. I did because I have so much work that I can choose the best ones and just include those. But if you're starting out and you don't have so much, I think maybe having more is good. But also if there's works that are maybe you're questioning if they're good enough, then don't include them, because only include maybe your best work. But having more is better than just having two really good projects. I think if I only see maybe 2 projects in a portfolio, I'm yeah, maybe they did good work in those 2, but are they gonna be able to reproduce that, and are they really productive in a way? So
is there
I think
sorry, is there what do you think is a good number? If 2 is too little, and I guess 30 is too much. Or
yeah, but yeah, if you have an online portfolio, which is a website, then maybe you can have a categories in there, having category editorial work category, and then you have children's book illustration category or something like this. Then it's if the client is looking for that kind of work, they can just look to that part of the portfolio. But if it's all 100 different kind of illustration works, and you're what is this? So it may be easier to have some categories there. Or making a separate portfolio just for different fields, maybe have a portfolio for game industry, and may have one portfolio for children's book work. This could be a really good idea. And also if I'm applying for a job or a grant or something, I always make a new portfolio to kind of show the jobs that are most similar to that job that I'm making, applying for. If I'm applying for a comic grant, of course I'm gonna include comic work and not some other art projects there. I'm just gonna include what's relevant to the project that I'm applying for. But yeah, so having separate portfolios can be a good idea. Make a separate PDF, and I always I have separate PDFs, and then I update them each time to have a new version for each client or each grant giver or something. So I have different versions. But yeah, if you know you're gonna only work in one field, if you know you only want jobs from children's book illustration or something like that, then make your portfolio only for that field. Because I don't know, but if you want to be more varied, then have different portfolios, or have different categories on your website or something. This could be a good idea. But yeah, I think mostly the clients would want you to only work in one field. But yeah, I would say it's pretty hard to just work in one field. I don't know, maybe having so. Unless you become the one person who does I don't know, dog portrait or something, you get this one thing that you do only, then maybe it's good. But if you want to be more varied and have more variety of incomes, then maybe not box yourself only one thing, because that might be detrimental in some time when people don't want dog portraits anymore or something Because I always have a million backup plans. I'm always oh, what if it doesn't work out? Then I have a million okay, I can do this, yeah. So, but yeah, I might be a little bit extreme with my variety, and maybe some people want to just focus on one thing. So maybe it's easier for you to choose. But I don't know if you want to share is there one field you would only be aiming at, or do you want to have more variety of stuff? Can you say for yourselves?
I think I would at least want to try out different things, because I don't have that much experience in general. I've done a couple kind of commercial illustration things, but they've been pretty small. So I think I would want to try out to see what I actually like, because I don't think I have any idea of how it actually is. But I would be very interested in like book illustration, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like I really want to do different things because it also like helps sometimes to like not get your brain stuck into like one, but when you change things up, then you kind of get a fresh look at other things that you've been doing too much. But also like I know that like maybe working for commercial clients like is not really for me because I stress too much over like deadlines and stuff. So I would really like to like develop like personal work. But for example, I really like to branch out in things like this podcast, for example. So like there are things that we are like I'm doing on my own, but like this one field is that I draw, and then this other thing is that I sit and talk about how I draw. And like like things that are different in that way. Like I kind of I really would like to sometimes brainstorm about like what other things I could do that are creative but still like self-initiative, but they could be like a different, like the people who pay for that could be different kinds of people, or the companies who pay for it are like different kind of companies, but like I don't know, but I think it's really good idea to like branch out and do
because I think it was really annoying because at the school they said just like pick one thing and only like and have like in the portfolio you should only have like one style of work, like only like just pick like one. You're gonna only do vectors now and you have to do that forever. And I think that was like really like, I don't know, for me it just didn't feel right, because I know that I want to like try new things, and I couldn't choose one style. I was like, I don't know what my style is, like I have to just choose one and only do that forever. Like no, it didn't like fit me at all. But I think that it is possible to like have different styles, but if you know you only have one style that you always work in and that's what you want to do forever, then that's perfect for you. Then only put that in your portfolio, and you don't need to have like a variety of things. Because I would say like for creative directors who are looking for like maybe an illustrator for like a book, or like for a commercial project or something, they want to know what they're gonna get. So they want to have like somebody who has a consistent style, or that they can look in the portfolio and say look at some work and say we want particularly this, because it's easy for them to know what's the result gonna be, and then they can sell it to the client. But I don't know, like with the books I feel like for every book I have kind of like a different style anyway, and the clients are not saying like make this style you put in this book. No, they're gonna like say like for this book we have this concept and hope you can make your style fit that concept, and then I usually like adjust my style to fit that concept. And for me that's really fun because I get to try new things and not just do one thing. But of course I also like know that I'm not gonna be like a realistic portrait illustrator, or like I know also my limits. Like I'm not gonna spread to every different direction in that way. Like I have some kind of balance in what my style is, even if it's more varied than other illustrators, but it is still like somehow you can recognize that. And people say that I have a recognizable style, but I always like, I don't even know what my style is, but I say, I guess there is some familiarity in the pictures and some consistency in the style if you can recognize it in a way. But
I definitely think your style is very recognizable. Like
oh, really?
At least
Okay.
everything I've seen, it's like it's very apparent to me that it is your style.
Okay.
Yeah, but we were actually like just talking about style in our previous episode, and there was this one thing that we kind of thought about, that basically like, yeah, for some people it works that you have like this one very clear style, but then for other people it might be that you have a lot of different like a lot of different what some people would call styles, but actually there is like something in your work that it still stays the same, like something that still makes sense when it's all together. So like I guess you can like the one fit all advice for portfolios might be that just make it this one very strict style, but then like as you say, like okay, this doesn't work for me, but then you still make it so that when people look at it, it still makes sense to them. It still doesn't look like 10 different people made this website.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it might be that like some things in your work vary all the time, but there must be still some things that like keep all of this together and like still make it recognizable as your work. It might just not be the materials you use, for example, or like I don't know, the colors you use. Those might be different all the time, but then there must be something else that stays the same.
Yeah, because some illustrators have like really like strict, like I only use pink and blue and nothing else or something like this. Like it can be like really strict, and I think that's can be really like detrimental in a way if you don't, because if the client wants you to use like red and you don't use it, like what you're gonna do? Like then the clients can be like, no, we don't want you then. Like it can be bad, but it can be also depends, of course, if you want to be more do your own thing, or if you want to be more
but
easy
then
to approach and easy to like mold into different forms. But
but then the client whose color scheme is pink and blue is gonna pick you because all of the others have all the other colors, and they're gonna see your website and gonna be like, oh my god, this is our illustrator.
Yeah, because I actually have like this color scheme that I only use like pink and turquoise, or like I use mostly those colors. And most of the clients that come to me, they want me to only use those colors because they're like, oh, we love you that you use these colors all the time. And then that's why we picked you, and it can be a good thing, like to have this kind of brand in a way that the client knows what they're gonna get, and then they know that you're gonna be fit for it.
Okay, friends, so we had so many questions for Apila. The interview was taking quite a while, so we thought, how about we split it in two, and you can hear part 2 next week, because we just wanted to learn as much as we could. Apila was providing us with so much insight on so many things. So stay tuned. Next week you can hear more of the interview, but now Mia and I will do question of the week.
Yes, thanks again for all your questions. This week's question is from Aesthetic Garden. In which already existing movie would you like to play, and what character? Oh, this was such a fun question.
Yes. Should I start?
Yeah, you can start. I mean, it was fun for me.
Yes, we were just talking about this question off camera, and I also really like this question. It's really creative, but also like I suck at picking everything, picking everything in general, but also especially like favorites, like what is my favorite movie, or like what is the movie I really like? I have no idea. But anyway, I stressed out a little bit, but then I was like, okay, I'll just do the movie that I watched yesterday. That's like an easier way for me to pick something. But yesterday I watched Avengers Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Which is maybe not the movie, but then I was like, maybe it's not the movie I would want to be in. But then when we were like, it's play in, I was like, no, actually that could be fun to play like this super action movie kind of thing. So you would actually need to learn all the because I know like all these actors have like a trainer, and then they learn all the stuff. I think that would be actually fun to play in a movie like that. So maybe not necessarily that one particular movie, but I think it would be fun to play an action movie like that. But since we have to pick, I would play Natasha Romanoff, because she's a badass and she can fight and she can shoot and she can ride a bike and she can do all of the things. So if I played her, I would learn all that stuff, and then after that I could actually do all that stuff. So that would be really cool. And also, unlike Scarlett Johansson, I could actually speak real Russian.
Yes, I love it.
Yes. What about you?
Well, I kind of thought of one immediately, so I'm just gonna go with it. So Harry Potter, no surprises there. But I mean, not the character Harry Potter though, but like the movies, Harry Potter movies. And I would want to play Luna Lovegood because she's quirky and fun and weird, and I just, yeah, I love her as a character. I think it would be really fun to play her.
Yeah.
But also it would be just amazing to kind of immerse myself in the world of Harry Potter and kind of feel like I'm part of that magical world, even if it was for just a little while.
Yeah, Luna would be fun to play, even though I don't think I could, because I'm not calm enough to play Luna.
Yeah, calm.
But I think you would make a good Luna, because you also have this really high voice.
Oh, okay.
like not in your normally you don't talk in high voice, but sometimes you make this high voice and you're really good at it. So.
Oh wow. Yeah, she was like weird, this like kind of calm but like very aloof and dreamy. So
yeah,
that would
but
be
she's like really
fun.
soft.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you would be good at soft.
Oh, thank you. You would be good at kick-ass.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, this was a fun question.
Yes.
Thank you for the questions. We love when you send all these like fun, random questions. So please keep them coming.
Yeah, they're really fun to answer.
All right. Well, thanks for listening this episode, and come back in a week to hear us ask Apila more of the questions and get all of their wisdom out.
Yeah, we've learned like so much talking to Apila, so sure you will too. Meanwhile, you can follow Apila on Instagram at Apila Pepita, and also if you want to follow their tattoo account, that is on Instagram at Apila Tattoo, and they also have a Twitter, which is also Apila Pepita.
Yes. Follow Apila and come back next week. And yeah, see you next week.
See you!
Bye!
Bye! Thank you for listening to the Drawing Club podcast.
You can follow us on Instagram at Drawing Club Podcast or email us at drawingclubpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also find me, Mia, on Instagram at mia.minerva and on YouTube as Mia Minerva. Sasha, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at Sasha_Kretova.
This podcast was created by us, Mia Minerva and Sasha Kretova.
Olli Arni created the theme song and assisted with the recording, and Dmitry Zherbin took care of audio mastering.
Welcome to the club, friends.